I am at the Quantico National Cemetery, probably the location of my very light jog today, especially since I realized I did not bring shorts like I thought I had, and it's fairly warm. I mean, it's probably like 70, which, coming off the tail end of a relatively cold winter, feels pretty warm. I'm the only car in the lot. I'm not sure about etiquette at a national cemetery, but I would like to respect the people who are buried here, as well as their loved ones and families. So I may keep the video brief, and I'm not going to film specific gravestones because I don't know their stories. It's really cheap, I think, to just throw an image up on YouTube. And these were all people. And having said that, there's probably a great number of them who, in their life, when they were alive, would have gladly chatted with me and said, hey, I wouldn't care, I wouldn't mind having my gravestone filmed. Not that that's what they anticipated happening, but and there's others who might have felt otherwise about it. So I think that it's a strange feeling to be walking on a peaceful day, a beautiful day, sunny, partly cloudy, partly sunny, quiet, birds chirping, in a park type of day, and to know that each of these many gravestones represents a human being who also had days like this, and they may have seen a lot of things that were the complete opposite of this, but undoubtedly these are all American soldiers, so presumably they all walked through a park somewhere in America at some point in their life on a quiet, peaceful, beautiful day. And despite the many different stories around each one of these people, they all lost the chance to do that again, while there were still beautiful days ahead of them, because soldiers don't die of old age. I think of the number of times in my life where it seemed like there wouldn't be another beautiful day, another quiet, calm, sunny, peaceful day when I could just enjoy simply walking through a park and feeling okay. Feeling like there's something ahead in life. And for each one of the people represented by a gravestone here, that moment happened for them, where there wasn't another day to walk through a park like this. But those days still exist for those of us who are living. Many would say that they exist for us because of the actions and the sacrifices of the people represented here. And I'm sure that many of them did. Approach their potential fate, the knowledge that they may not come back home, hoping that those who were back home would continue to be free to walk around a beautiful park in America. Or anywhere else worldwide where you're free to do that. I think that when it comes to anything that's life or death, but especially when it comes to the conscious choice to give up your life prematurely, the conscious choice to give up your own life, or at least risk your own life, specifically while fighting others and potentially trying to take the lives of others as well. I think that those are very complex things. They touch on the mystery of life and death, but even something beyond that, the mystery of the fact that we as humans have an impact on our own lives, the lives of others. We can create life and we can take it away, both from ourselves and from others. And I think the mystery of life goes beyond that. The mystery of life extends before I was born into this world, and it will extend after I leave it. It extends before the birth of each of these soldiers, and it extends past their death. But when we talk not just about the natural process of death and dying, as well as birth and living, but we actually talk about the choice that we have of what to do with life, and whether to risk our own lives or take the lives of others, and why we would do that, and if there is anything worth doing that to protect. Those are deep and complex questions and thoughts, and it's not something that you think about every day. Maybe it's good to think about it, though, every once in a while. Maybe I get to think about it because I am alive to be here, and that's a mystery. I don't understand why I get to be alive. I get to have survived things that could have killed me, whether through coincidence or my own mistakes or the actions of someone else. Why do I get to make it to 34 years old, and who knows how much older, and some people don't? Some people who went to war are here in this graveyard, and others came home. Others maybe walk through this graveyard with their families, with children who were born after they survived the war. Some get to survive to ask the question, why did I survive? And others don't. This graveyard goes on further than I'm going to walk. I don't know how these gravestones are grouped. It's a beautiful, well-kept place, and yet there is no evidence of anyone keeping it up, probably simply because it's a weekend and after 5 p.m. The dates on these gravestones that I'm looking at now are people who passed while I was alive. The earliest one I saw would have been someone who passed when I was 11, and the latest one, someone who passed when I was 17, which is not that long ago. I was living my own story at the time, my own life. When I was 17, it was right around the time that I was starting to really think about questions in life. Probably around the time that I first walked through a graveyard and felt something that I couldn't quite describe. It was shortly after I had dated my first girlfriend, had fallen in love for the first time with the depth of emotion that it kind of comes with transitioning into adulthood. Not just a crush, some confused feelings, but actually feeling your entire world, your entire being change in response to the knowledge that this person was in it, and then be completely destroyed when they chose not to be part of it anymore, and finally being rebuilt as if you existed in the world for the first time, as if you'd never looked at anything before and you're seeing it for the first time. Both when we started dating and when we stopped dating. It was as if I was discovering a world that had never existed before. One with intense excitement and thrill, and the other with intense loss and heartbreak. But in both cases, it was as if I had opened my eyes for the first time and didn't know what I was going to see. And I gradually began to piece it all together as I saw it. And that's kind of beautiful in both scenarios. The discovery that a beautiful world exists and you're alive to experience it. That it is beautiful and mysterious and uncertain and there for you to endlessly discover. These gravestones, a lot of these look like they have a later death date, 2014 to 2016. I was 24 to 26. And that was after I had been married, and as we get to 2016, 2017, I think I may have misspoken. These are 2014 to 2016, and now 17, and I see a 24 right there. Which is probably, I'm not sure what that means, because that person looks like they lived a full natural life. We skipped over the period of time where I have the most poignant memories of walking through a graveyard, because I was dating someone at the time, and we were apart because she was overseas, and we had had some struggles. But also some just incredible moments of connection and perception of each other and of life. And I walked through this graveyard on my college campus and just felt this is all gonna be over at some point. All these people in this graveyard felt what I feel right now, maybe, probably, for at least a fleeting moment of their lives. They felt the drama of being alive. Of feeling something so intensely. Maybe of feeling feelings that you can't put into words about a person who you desire so much and yet feel unable to come into a calm status with. Someone who makes you feel the drama of life more intensely than you've ever felt it before, and you think that maybe you don't want that because it's too much, and then you realize that it's all going to be over. And just to have felt that means everything. To have gotten to feel something so intense that you didn't know if you could take it, that is balanced by this mystery in which some people would say you'd feel nothing at all. Or at least where that specific lifetime, that specific person, that specific situation, that specific connection, that specific drama is over. You can't go back to it even if you wanted to. And that moment made me just rest in what I felt at that time. Around 2017, 2018, where the dates on these gravestones are leaving off now, I was divorced, and I was considering a relationship with somebody new, which I did not allow myself to fully enter into, though we experienced something beautiful together. And seeing the gravestones, seeing the people who passed away, possibly as young or younger than I was at that time. You know, I wanted to say at that time, and I still want to say right now, maybe, that makes me want to get it right. In a second here, I think I'll jog a little bit. Makes me want to get it right, but in reality, I think maybe it just makes me realize that I don't have to be alive to get anything right. I don't have to be alive to experience any specific version of my life at all. There's this idea that there's some destined path that each of us has, and maybe not everybody thinks that, but I definitely thought it and felt it. And we have to do the right things to stay on that path. And I do think that there are ways of living, ways of approaching the world, ways of approaching other people that are better than others. But the chance to be alive at all can be taken away from us in an instant. So maybe, just maybe, we don't need to be quite so hung up on that specific path that we feel we have to be on. Maybe it's just about being grateful that we can run through the wilderness, that there's going to be something ahead of us. We don't know exactly what that something is, why it's there, what it means, whether there was something more interesting more satisfying, more predestined on a different path. Maybe it's best just to be grateful that every path contains something beautiful. And even if we jump from one path to another, maybe we don't lose the quantity of beautiful things that we will see along the way, unless it is for having our eyes closed to them as we think about what might be somewhere else. So I guess this is not where I left my car. I was worried for a second. But this does not match the parking lot I was in, so almost ironic. The nice public restrooms. To meet the trivial needs of visitors. As we reflect on those who gave their lives or were killed in combat, or some seemingly who did live out their full life and died of old age after serving in the military. My car's down here, and this will be the end of this video.